Gemini is a racing hybrid coaster at Cedar Point. This was once one of the tallest and fastest roller coasters in the world, but has since been dwarfed by several coasters, including a handful in its own park. It still is an enjoyable classic, and arguably the top racing coaster in the country though. I will explain why in this review. Gemini opened back in 1978. Built by Aerodynamics, it was the park's third such coaster from that manufacturer, and Cedar Point claimed it was the world's tallest, fastest, and steepest coaster at its opening. But these were not all true. Gemini stands 125 feet, or 38 meters tall, yet Busch Gardens Williamsburg opened Loch Ness Monster 2 weeks earlier, which stood 5 feet taller. Gemini reaches a max speed of 60 miles per hour, or 97 kilometers per hour, yet Screamin' Eagle at Six Flags St. Louis is 2 miles per hour faster, and that ride opened 2 years prior. Gemini was indeed the world's steepest coaster though when it opened, sharing that record with Loch Ness Monster. Both rides had a max angle of descent of 55 degrees. Cedar Point instead could have marketed this ride as the tallest and fastest hybrid coaster, which are records the park cares about nowadays, because they advertised these back in 2018 when they opened Steel Vengeance. But back then, hybrid coasters were not as marketable. Gemini is another ride with steel track and wooden supports. And this ride's structure is immense. Each side is 3,935 feet, or 1,200 meters long, so the combined length is roughly 1.5 miles. This ride looks huge if you park in the Magnum parking lot, and you can walk right next to it. The ride also has a big presence from within the park itself, as there is an entire midway named after this attraction. Gemini was originally designed with one of the largest capacities of any roller coaster. The ride originally had 4 trains for each side, operating with 3 at once. Each train held a max of 30 riders, as the trains were comprised of 5 cars with 3 rows of 2. With 3 trains and both sides running, Gemini could hit an astounding 3,300 riders per hour. To put that in perspective, that is not only higher than any roller coaster at a Disney park, that is higher than any ride at the entire Disneyland resort. Let that sink in. And operators were essentially forced to run Gemini efficiently. If they stacked all 3 trains, the 3rd train would park in the mid-course brake run, shutting the entire ride down. From 2004 onwards, Gemini has only achieved a fraction of that capacity. The coaster now runs just 2 trains per side. The ride also has air gates, loose article bins, and more stringent safety checks that slow down dispatches. But it still has one of the higher throughputs in the entire park, as it is still capable of hitting 1,200 to 1,500 riders per hour with good operations. This allows it to have one of the shorter waits of any coaster in the park. It is often not more than a 10 to 20 minute wait for me. Now there are some important touring notes though. 1. Gemini may only run one side during quiet periods for staffing purposes. This can happen on quiet days, but it's most common at the very start and end of the day. For that reason, I recommend riding Gemini midday. This allows you to ride the headlining coasters when their waits are the shortest, and then you ride Gemini midday when it's racing and has a much shorter wait than those headliners. 2. This coaster often closes for rain. Most coasters at Cedar Point operate with modern PLCs, but Gemini still has old photo eye sensors. These are finicky in wet conditions and can cause the ride to fault. 3. This ride is included on the fast lane skip the line pass if necessary. You are admitted directly into the center of the station. There, you can pick any row you'd like on either side. I like Gemini best in the back car. The large drops in the first half offer really nice airtime there. It is a bit bumpier though, which is a trade-off. The trains are similar to the ones found on Aeromine trains. You have individual seatbelts and ratcheting, U-shaped lap bars. The latter do not have much padding, so it may be wise to hold on to them once checked, unless you want to get stapled. Gemini begins by slowly turning out of the station. You then ascend the once record-breaking lift hill. It takes a while to reach the top, but you hear those melodious Aero anti-rollbacks the whole way up. Once at the top, you have a nice view towards the park, and then you're yanked down a 12-story plunge. The entry is quite sharp, so if you're in the back car, you'll get a violent jolt of ejector air time. The pullout also has a nice head chopper with a support structure, and you also get solid positive Gs. The latter happen on quite a few valleys in this ride's first half. You then rise upwards into a large turnaround. The front gets some really weak floater airtime on the entry. Then the turn itself is long and slow, but it does give a nice view looking out towards Magnum and the water park. Plus, you'll see the other train trying to pass you. The resultant drop is quite good in the back as well, offering a nice pop of airtime. Next is a large camelback. The front again is weakly lifted out of their seat, but those in back oddly get no airtime. It is a rare hill on this ride that's a dud in that seat. You then have another big turnaround. The front gets similarly mild airtime in the entry, then the train leisurely completes a flat turn. The exit is even better in the back this time around though, as it offers a wild surge of ejector airtime. Then comes another camelback. It offers a pinch of airtime in front. Then those in back get okay floater, but it is sustained this time around. The other spots of negative Gs in this ride are briefer and more abrupt. This is another hill with a great head chopper with some supports in the descent as well. It sneaks up on riders because you cannot see it from the other side. Next is another turnaround. The front again lifts out of their seats slightly. Then you pass through a mid-course brake run. It doesn't usually hit the train too hard, but you may slow down a bit. You then complete another flat turn, and then you have the home stretch. The resultant drop offers weak floater in the back. This leads directly into a bunny hill. This offers solid floater up front, and okay floater in back. Then there's a brief straightaway underneath the ride supports, followed by another bunny hill. This one was equally as good up front, but it's unfortunately nerfed in back. There is a harsh trim on the descent that saps much of the train's speed, so forget about any airtime in the rear rows. This makes the final helix sort of awkward. The entry still offers some mild Gs, but due to the loss of speed, you are left hanging sideways as you spiral upwards, and this can be a bit uncomfortable because the element has janky profiling, so your body is also being jostled. You then hit the brakes and return to the station, ending the nearly 3-minute long experience. In terms of pacing, Gemini feels more like a classic out-and-back wood coaster, just supersized. You have plenty of airtime hills, but they are broken up by these drawn-out turnarounds. But on Gemini at least, there is a sense of excitement because you have the racing element. The two tracks stay side by side for much of the course, so you always have eyes on the opposing train. It is fun jockeying for position. When Gemini only runs with one side, the turns suddenly become a lot more boring. In terms of smoothness, Gemini is not perfect, but most of the ride tracks well. You have steel track, and the turns are mostly slow and gradual. But you do get these jolts on a handful of valleys. It feels more like a quick spinal compression versus traditional bumpiness. These are similar in feeling to the bumps in El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure if you have ridden that ride. But I do find the experience tolerable because the bumps are brief, spaced out, and predictable. So what would I rate Gemini? I would give this coaster a 7.5 out of 10. This is a dual-track coaster that's really fun. I think it's my favorite racing coaster in the country. The two tracks running side by side give nice visuals start to finish. Then this coaster has some nice airtime if you're in the back car. Other rows do offer negative Gs, but they are noticeably milder. The ride does have some bumps and slower turns, but it's an impressive ride considering its age. While I do prefer several of Cedar Point's newer coasters, I always take a few laps on Gemini each trip. It's usually a quick wait, and it's still a good ride after all these years. So those are my thoughts on Gemini at Cedar Point. What are your thoughts about this coaster? Is it your favorite racer in the US as well? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.